Ladies and gentlemen, after some technical difficulties, once in a lifetime, never had technical difficulties before on Beyond the Rift, but joining us today, it is our privilege to have this plant right here. I want to give a special shout out to the plant joining us today. For the people that don't know, who's this man of mystery? Who is this plant at Riot Games? Just a random plant. That sounds perfect. But the brains behind it all. Who are we having today? Who are we?
So the plant is both Jordan, Rex, Anton. I'm a systems designer working on Runes Reforged, and
I'm RiotMeddler Van Roon. I'm the lead designer for the gameplay part of League of Legends.
And the right half of the plant.
All right.
The right half.
That's what I like to hear. We're going to have some good stuff to talk about today. Your boy, I'm a cutie pie. Ladies and gentlemen, you know who I am. The #1 best ADC in North America, according to the solo queue ranking. And Riot Games has handcrafted the solo queue rankings to be the ultimate decider in skill. Therefore, I am undoubtedly the best player in North America. And Scar, tell them who you got #1 in something I heard.
Oh yeah, I'm the rank 1 master player as of 12:09 midnight on the last day of the ladders. So you could say that I got just about as close as you did to ending rank 1 this season. So I am been a big content creator, big streamer, big player, big person. I don't know. I've been all over the League of Legends universe, and now I'm here today, joined by this lovely crew to bring you the best and foremost in League of Legends news.
Hey, good stuff on Rank 1 Master, dude. Before we get into it, though, I want to give a quick shout out to Discord. Let me tell you guys something. Skype, biggest piece of shit program I've ever used in my life, dude. Unless they paid me to say otherwise. Discord, though, awesome. I love it, dude. The audio we're getting from this thing, 10 out of 10. It's the only program in the world that allow us to connect with one another to bring this show to you guys today. I also want to give a shout out. Scar, give it to him.
The Acer Predator, they're one of the official partners of the World League of Legends World Championships, as well as our official sponsor for this episode. Lovely sponsor. They did all the monitors at Worlds as well as great laptops. Can't believe we got them.
All right, let's get it underway then, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna start it off with some good old-fashioned topics. So we're gonna start out. So Season 7 is finally finished and done for. Looking back, how is Season 7 and compared to the other seasons that you've played? So I'll start off by saying, I thought Season 7 started off, was it the lethality meta for ADs?
Yes, I think so, yes.
I didn't mind lethality. I thought it was a little fucking stupid. Actually, no, I kind of hated it as it dragged on. But I thought at first...
Wow, that really slid down.
Yeah. No, I thought at first it was fun. It was like the Ardent Sensor meta. I thought at first it was fun, but then it just became absolutely like once people figured out this is the best, this is what we are supposed to do. I mean, I figured that's how it is with every meta, but once people figure out this is the best thing to do, it just becomes awful. So Season 7, I'm glad that it's done for. People think that I'd love the Ardent Sensor meta as an AD, but that shit was awful. I don't think anyone was having fun at the end of that shit. Scott, what'd you think of it?
Alright, I think Season 7 had some of the worst metas ever created in the existence of the game, in the game's history, and also had one of the best metas ever created competitively for the game in the game's history. So it's kind of weird. I think it had a combination of, I think the Sensor meta was actually the worst meta to physically play for me. And it had the meta right before you got into mid-season where everything was viable and it was super well balanced. And then, Sensor came, Locky Redemption got nerfed, Sensor got buffed, and then the Nightmare started. And then before that was Lethality plus one other meta that I didn't really like. But in retrospect, get Sensor out of here. I hated that meta. I hope I could just play Assassins and love myself again this season.
Well, let me ask you guys, what did you think from Riot's end of Season 7? Did you guys feel like it wasn't a total, I don't think it, people said this is the worst season. I think there have been a lot worse seasons than this one. Ardent Sensor was not that fun to play, but it wasn't the worst fucking thing, at least from an 80s perspective. But what did you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, we get some of the worst season ever feedback every single season.
Yeah, I'd imagine.
Yep. You know the deal. So I think we had 2 periods, though, that I was kind of sad about. The first was, in retrospect, we let Arden sit too long. Some of that was trying to avoid, big changes right at the end of the season before Worlds and all that, but we should have pulled the trigger on stuff earlier. And the other was that period you mentioned right at the start, where we had sort of the Rengar, LeBlanc, and Camille, with the lethality stuff as well, being pretty oppressive to play against. Most of the rest of the bits I was pretty happy with. But
yeah, I thought season 7 overall was like pretty fun. Because you said that you were sad you didn't pull the trigger for Arden. Do you feel like you are hampered to make big change? Because I mean, if you changed Arden, you have no idea what's going to happen in competitive because it was so, like, I guess, set in stone in the meta. Do you feel...
Yeah, that's the thing. There's that real rough trade-off if we make big changes, Juggernaut patch or the tower stuff we did one year, sort of, just before the Worlds patch or whatever, then we're messing a bunch of stuff up and causing a lot of disruption. That's not fair on people either. If we let something sit that might be a problem, there's also some risk there. In this case, we were seeing enough tank supports being played and not too many of the enchanter types that we figured it was safe to leave Ardent as it was for a bit. In retrospect, especially once we got past the play-ins for Worlds, we were wrong on that one.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I was definitely surprised. Like, I thought Ardent was, like, good, but I was like, you know what? People are going to start whipping out, like, the Alistar and stuff, like, try to make some playmaking. That didn't happen. Like, I didn't think... From a solo queues perspective, I mean, Scar, what did you think of it from a solo queues perspective? I thought Arden was good, but I was like, it's beatable. And then I saw they should have pulled.
Yeah, I thought it was beatable, but it just turned out that, like, there was too little, because, in high-elo solo queue, like, every other support main is a Thresh main, right? Like, so I was like, we got, like, these insane Thresh players, everyone's picking Janna, I'm sure, like, all these Thresh guys are just going to slap these Janna mains silly. And it turns out that all the Thresh players just started playing Janna and Sona. And I was like, wait, it's so bad that they can't play their favorite champion, the champion they played thousands of games? We're in trouble. Like, that's when I realized Censor, big problem.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll say, how would you rate Season 7, though? Like, 1 out of 10, Scar, what would you put it to? I'd say... I'd put it like a 7 out of 10. I thought it was fun. Like, some of the
7 out of 10?
I thought it was pretty fun. You didn't like it?
Yeah.
I mean, maybe from a mid lane's perspective, because I imagine that shit got real stale for you real fast.
It actually, the problem with the Censors meta is that it brute forces, like, all the assassin picks out of the game. So it's like, for me, who's primarily, like, an assassin player, I enjoy assassins the most. Like, this season was probably, like, about a 5 out of 10 for me, which, in all honesty, is the lowest rated season I would think of. Like, trying not to think through...
Wait, you think this is the...
That's because you got to play assassins for half the season.
Right. And in the later half of the season, it's the one in clearest memory for me. So, I think that usually the meta switches, like, or it's not that bad. I didn't like the Lulu Azir meta, Lulu Azir Victor meta either in, like, seasons 4 or 5. And there was, like, one more meta that I just, like, didn't enjoy either, but they were, like, tolerable. Like, I think there were more viable picks than there were going into the end of the season. It felt kind of very limiting, in my opinion.
Yeah, I guess from, like, an 80s perspective, because my worst season ever, and I don't think there's any way they could ever make a season as bad as... What was the one where it was basically you only pick Sivir and you just fucking ulti? Like, you were just useless the entire game. And you were... Yeah, I don't remember what season that was, but that's, like, scarred into my head. Like, when you have people, like, contesting Vayne, like, we gotta pick Vayne, that in my head is a shit season. Because that pretty much only happens if AD's so god-awful that Vayne can actually be played, so... I didn't like that season. I don't like that season one bit. But, I mean, from Bry's perspective, what do you guys think of Season 7?
I mean, I'd probably be somewhere around the 7.5-ish mark myself.
Okay. I can respect that.
I think, I certainly get the pain on the Arden thing, but I enjoyed a lot of it on a personal level.
Yeah, I thought...
Also, Yeah. Also, looking to next year, a lot of stuff to remember.
Yeah.
The art side of things, especially, but
Yeah.
also some of the wide swings we saw in bot lane based off item changes.
Yeah.
You're
I think something that really came together this season was objective play was much better. I mean, like Rift Herald and Dragons and Towers, like all of the objective play in the game really felt like it came together a lot more than in the past. So I liked that games had more structure, but I think in the early half of the season, we definitely sort of wrestled with like assassins were ultra powerful, and then after that, it was anybody can be a tank, and then the second half of the season,
we eventually got to hyper carry and
it was
super
all
safe play in bot lane.
Yeah. And that part kind of bummed me out as well because I like playing more aggressive laners and seeing games just have a bit more action in them.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd say like generally I think we had some problematic metas, but the game to game play was really strong this season, mostly around objectives and game flow.
Yeah, I did love that Rift Herald change actually.
That Rift Herald, like, that was because Rift Herald before, that thing was fucking useless. So
yeah, took us a few tries to get something decent there.
Yeah, that Rift Herald, I didn't remember that it was on this season. It feels so long ago, so I'll bump it up. I'll do a 7.5 too.
Oh, thank you.
Scar, you gonna bump it up? You gotta bump it up at least a half.
I'll bump it to a 6. I agree with them that like the overall like it was the objective play was much better. I think with Herald, all that stuff. I do think though, like in terms of like limitations, the way I judge a good meta is how much it restricts and oppresses different metas. Like the best meta would be you could pick different types of strategies, maybe not different, like super like every champion in the game, but there's different types of strategies you can play to be able to win the game. And I thought that like in the later half of the meta, even with like people trying to break the meta at Worlds with like putting like not playing censor bot lanes, they still have to play a censor mid lane. Like that's how bad it was. Like I thought that like for the most part, it was a very oppressive meta in a sense that you had to play one style. And sure, you can like 1-3-1, but like you can only kind of play with like a censor like plus AD hyper carry with a control mage mid was like for the most part 95% of what you could play. And I thought I just don't like metas like that where they restrict you so heavily.
Yeah, that's understandable.
Actually, apart from a more open meta, what do you guys want to see from next season?
For this season right now, I mean, I feel like
for the coming one,
I feel like with you guys laid down the foundation with like Rift Herald and like you said objective play, that I think the foundation for objective play is set. It's just a matter of like champion wise, and there's nothing right now that I'm seeing like I can pretty much play anything. It feels like bottom, and I'm never like, oh my god, what am I doing, man? So, like before, if I didn't pick Tristana, it's like I'm trolling. Like that's just how I felt. Like if I'm not picking Tristana and I'm not buying a relic shield as my first item, I'm probably trolling. So, I'm pretty happy with how it's set out right now. I mean, with how Scar has said, the more champions I feel like I can play, the better it is. If I'm stuck playing one champion every single game, it gets stale pretty quickly. So
that's a sad time.
Yeah. It's a real sad time.
I think one of the hardest things that's like there for you guys specifically is just about increasing champion viability because laning phase is so important, and the game is at the point where, especially first tower, is so important that because objective control is so strong, the game snowballs very quickly. So you can't really build scaling comps like champions like Ziggs, Xerath. Champions that function at like a 1+ or 2+ item spike. I remember when we used to talk about ADs and they're like, okay, just wait for Jinx. She's going to get IE, a Zeal item, and Last Whisper, and then we'll team fight. And now it's like, that's laughable. Like you waiting for 2.5 items, it's like, oh, so you just want to lose the game. And so that makes certain champions like hard to play. And so you have to make it so that there's an item that is in the game that you can get like kind of elongate the game for those champions, but to the point where you don't like push out lane abusing champions. So Doran's Shield is kind of a really interesting thing by you guys. Kind of increase the viability of bot lane against like enchanters. Like you can actually play like a lot of tanks. Increase the viability of certain things mid and top, but it also made like lane dominant picks worse. And so I think it's a really weird balance. Overall though, like I think the Orange has kind of pushed champion viability up, and like more stuff like that is like stuff that's nice. I think that it would be cool to find a way where if you wanted to play like a scaling comp or scaling champions, like I don't get laughed at for picking Xerath that scales at 1.5 items or 2 items, or Ziggs that scales at that time too. It shouldn't, like those champions for me shouldn't be like counter pick champions, but they are right now because it's like if you pick them and you're picking into something that's just like meta, you're pretty much losing the game unless you can stall out for 20 minutes.
All right.
Yeah, gotcha. That makes sense.
All right, let's go to the next topic then. So we'll start out. The preseason patch has officially launched. What is the goal of this gigantic new rune and mastery system?
You want to start this one off, Jordan?
Yeah, okay. Really, all right. So, runes and mastery sucked. That's sort of the really short version, right? We wanted to take them, blow them up, give you a lot more choice, a lot more options, and really let players explore the game again. And that was kind of the design philosophy behind a lot of runes, was like, let's build a system that's really open, that's really understandable, so that people can craft builds that are exciting to them, and then let's let people branch out into a ton of opportunities and support different strategies that instead of seeing the sort of optimized, really stat-focused runes and masteries that we'd seen in the past.
Yeah. We also wanted a system where it was much easier for us to make changes to it without screwing over players. With runes, anytime we change those, it's potentially changing, forcing people to go out and buy a whole bunch of new stuff, which is going to be a pretty shitty experience. By contrast, since everybody owns all of the new rune system by default, we can actually work to improve and modify that a lot more. So looking forward to doing that this coming year.
Yeah, man, I'm pretty happy with how it is. I don't know, Scar, because I haven't looked at the topics. Is there a topic delving deeper into the runes and masteries or no?
I think the very next topic will be talking about like the current runes and masteries. So this is just like, I guess, more initial impressions, what you're really looking at right now.
Okay. Then let's go to the next topic. Let's go and delve right into it there, because I want to talk about it. So,
oh yeah, me too.
So after playing on the patch, what are your first impressions? What's strong and what's weak? So I'll start off from an AD's perspective of how I feel about it. I feel like press the attack. I think it's pretty stupid. I don't know how anyone else feels about it, but 12% damage, and it works on like everyone. I feel like that's going to create a whole lot of problems. I think that's really strong. Lethal tempo. I think everyone was like hyping that thing up. I think that shit's a noob trap. I'll let Riot be the ones to decide it though. Like what at the Riot headquarters, what do you guys feel about press the attack versus lethal tempo for ADs?
Yeah, we're still trying to get a read on it. We've seen, depending on the champion, some are much better with one or much better with the other. The press the attack users from memory are looking a little bit stronger overall, but it's not actually one of the keystones we're most suspicious is too powerful right now. That probably goes to sort of Aftershock and Summon Area both looking a little bit too high.
What are you feeling about this? Is one that as soon as I saw it, I had to try it. I tried out Klepto Ezreal.
Oh,
that thing is, I don't know how, like the problem with Klepto is I was thinking about it, I was like, I don't know how the fuck you could possibly balance this thing, because the people that use it, like GP and Ezreal, they're not just using it, they're abusing it. And then for everyone else, like if you nerfed it, I couldn't imagine it being that effective for them. So, I mean, what?
Yeah, we've been talking a lot about that one. Our belief is that some of the ranged supports will use it as well as, say, Israel or GP. So in terms of balancing it for them and versus everybody else, I think a lot of it is changing what sort of power it exactly gives you, putting more of that into particular items rather than just giving you a shit ton of gold, for example.
Yeah.
So it's not just as much raw damage through items as some of the other ones, if that's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can also tweak sort of the item drop rate by seconds and stuff like that if we need to help balance out people that proc it occasionally and sort of boost the drop rates for them a bit, and then bring down the people that proc it sort of on cooldown to make it so they get things a bit less frequently.
Yeah, maybe screw it. more towards late game or more towards early game as well, depending on.
Yeah, we definitely need
when
to,
it's too
to
nuts.
sort of see what that rune's doing more and understand it, because that was the last keystone that we built, and we're sort of excited to have it out there and see what people are doing with it on live and figure out where we should take it.
It's also one of the harder ones to get a read on its power, because we're seeing a lot of people try it on sometimes pretty weird champions that just can't optimize it well. So its performance is just all over the place.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Scar, what's your take on it? Because for me, like, I played Klepto Ezreal, and honestly think it's like broken as fuck. Like,
yeah, I think it's really like,
yeah.
Like, it's because a lot of people argue that, like, look, you're giving up a damage thing for this. And I'm just like, who cares about damage? I'm getting so much, I'm going to be building into damage by getting so much gold early. I will hit my spikes faster. And, like, on top of that, I get, like, insane utility. I get, like, I think I saw one of your team fights where you were playing Klepto Ezreal. You hit 3 flasks in the one team fight and an orb.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
dude, the team fights on that, like, I actually, like, a lot of people have been saying they hate Klepto because it adds RNG, but the thing is, I feel like RNG makes the game fun. Like, when I play Klepto Ezreal and I get into a team fight, it's basically just rolling the dice. Like, I'll start off the fight, I'll get an adaptive potion, like the fucking Wrath Elixir. Yeah. It's just like this shit feels great, man. Like, I don't notice the downside, like, if I just get some worthless garbage, I never notice it. But when I start picking up, like, really good stuff, it feels really good. I will say, though, yeah, I think it's broken just because the early game of it's just...
Yeah, I mean, maybe just cut the early gold then and keep those moments.
Yeah.
You're getting the core stuff to adapt to in the team fights.
Yeah.
That's where the fun is.
The one thing that is really nice about Klepto is, like, even though it's so hard to figure out sort of who is it best on, why is it best on them, how is it performing on sort of everybody that's taking it, right? Because we have so many different levers with, like, the tuning of every individual item and the early gold and the item drop rates and at what point you start getting different items and that kind of thing. We have so many possible ways to tune it that I think it's going to take some time, but we're going to end up getting it into a spot that's really good.
Yeah, I just hope that it doesn't get, like, nuked entirely, because I actually think that's like one of the most fun champions I've played in a while is Klepto Ezreal. Like, he feels good as hell to play. I mean...
Yeah, sorry.
I mean, yeah, he feels really good as hell to play, because usually when the game starts, I'll walk up to someone, I'll queue them, I'll get that bag of gold, and then to get 110 gold before laning even starts, like, that shit feels pretty good. I'm not gonna lie, dude. It feels real good.
Yeah, I bet that feels good.
I'm sure we'll be able to keep some of it around.
Okay.
Okay.
Just gotta do some work.
So my biggest thing is that, like, a lot of people are asking me, like, what keystone do I get for XYZ champion? And I always have to say Aerie, because I think, like I look at Aerie and it's like it looks to me like it's something that you should have for, like, enchanter supports that also harass, like Karma that, like, uses the shield, or, like, it'll be like healers that also kind of harass, like, kind of like a dual threat, aggressive plus defensive enchanter keystone. What it actually turns out to be is the most effective all-round damage keystone in the game. And I think, and, like, for me, that's crazy. Like, it's like I'm playing, like, Karthus, I'm playing Vladimir, I'm playing, like, all these, like, mage champions, and thematically, I'm, like, the bringer of pain. Like, I bring death to the enemy team. I have this, like, really weird, funky, like blue
Fox
ghost, Spirit Fox, being like, hey, I'll help you out, man. And I'm just like, wait, like, I'm actually, like, trying to kill people as Karthus. I have to use this. Or Singed has to use this Spirit Fox because there's not a better thing for dodge champions. Like, do you think that that's, like, kind of weird?
Yeah, I think particularly for its reliability that Aerie is just putting out too much damage. I admit, personally, I don't think it's terrible if it's a choice on Karthus or Singed, even if that feels a little weird, but it shouldn't be their only thing, you know, their prime go-to.
Yeah, I think it should keep being an option. On the way that that's sort of positioned against Arcane Comet, our plan was sort of, Arcane Comet is on a longer cooldown, it does more damage per chunk, right? And you can affect its reliability through casting it at smart times. Whereas Aerie is really about, can you optimize how many procs of it you're getting? Are you picking it up early? Are you trading a lot in order to get use of it? And sort of like some of the way that I look at it is like, weirdly, as odd as it is, I think Pantheon should probably be like, if he doesn't really consider it a damage option for him, then Aerie, I think, is probably underbalanced. Now it's weird that Pantheon's like Mega Man Spartan Warrior. It's like, yeah, also let me get this blue Spirit Fox and throw that at you too. But
yeah, I mean, LoL's kind of got that tone sometimes. So you got those weird combinations of different things going on.
I guess I shouldn't really complain because the alternative is throwing a meteor at someone. So it's really like I'm not thematically able to be like, okay, yeah, let's suspend this disbelief for this one and not that one. I guess the other thing I want to say is like, there's so much more damage now it feels like assassins at the moment. Are you guys kind of like worried about that situation? Because everyone got armor stat buffs, right? But all the AP assassins, like, you can't really itemize well against them. You have to go into a 5 MR resolve tree, or you have to pick up this weird nullifying orb damage still that starts at 40 damage absorbed at level 1.
Yeah, we're cautious on some of the assassins and the divers. At the same time, I think we probably been a bit harsh on them over the last year, so they needed to be a bit stronger, I think. Woo! Yeah. There's also a few other defensive options we'd expect people to be using, things like perfect timing, the one-time stopwatch so that you're not just getting comboed so hard in lane, or Celestial Buddy, or the Resolve Tree. It's also possible that MR slot needs a few more points on it as well. We'll see.
Yeah, I'll say for that stopwatch, like, Sky, have you tried it out? I've been trying to run stopwatch on like every champion, because that thing, I don't know how it is like gold efficient wise, but it feels stupidly gold efficient. Like, it's a 600 gold item that you basically can sell whenever you want for a free 140 gold, and I pretty much am able to, like, as long as I know how to use it effectively, I can like turn a fight or get away and not die. Like, how do you feel about that? Because I feel like maybe that thing's a little too much.
Honestly, I was majorly against it when I first looked at the rune page, but like, I think it'll be worse as people stop doing stupid stuff. Like, the preseason right now is like, you literally just throw yourself in a game and you have no expectations. I took the first game seriously, and I got like a Teemo support. I'm like, you know what? I'm good. So at that point, it's like, I don't know what's optimal. I think it's actually crazy to get a Zhonya's in general, because yeah, the ability to nullify a lot of stuff is really, really good, but it takes 6 minutes to proc, and then it takes like it's a one-time use. So I think I don't necessarily liking the game, but it's at the point where I'm like, it's okay.
I love that thing.
Like, I'm much more like hesitant to say, like, I look at the sudden impact rune.
Oh, that thing is a mess for Callista.
That thing is better than most keystones, is in my opinion. Because like, it gives you 10 lethality, 8 pen, and every other keystone you have skills based on levels. And this just gives you flat from level 1 with almost 100% uptime, which is crazy. It works on Callista jump. It works on Yasuo E. It works on Riven Q. Not even his E or her E. Riven Q. It works on. I'm just like, oh my god! So many champions can have insane uptime on something that just gives them like, flat lethality, flat magic pen in a world where no one can buy armor and MR anymore.
Yeah, that thing's doing way too much damage. When I play that on Callista, it's just like, it just doesn't feel fair. I'm like insta killing people at level 1. It feels real bad.
I can believe we might have to push that to per level. We'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for the other thing though that I wanted to talk about, you were talking about magic damage, Skara. I'll say for bottom lane, like, mage supports feel kind of stupid to play again. Like, just a little bit. Like, I don't know if you've experienced this, Scar, if you played bottom at all, but like, someone will pick Karma and then they'll go the stupid ultimate hat bullshit for their ulti to be, you know what I'm talking about, and they're just gonna, they just hammer you, and that thing, like, her Q hits like a fucking truck now, and it's just like, what do I do against this?
It's not just bot lane. Mid lane, like, I'm playing Cat. I all in at level 2, and they lose 80% of their health in the all in. They have to flash. And I'm just like, wait, this champ went from like garbage to like somehow OP. That my all in's one of the best in the game now at level 3. It just feels really bad. I can't imagine how LeBlanc feels, because she's probably like twice as good as, like, I don't know, like 30% stronger. So bot lanes, like, Stunt's been playing support Teemo every game, by the way, and like doing well with it because it just does that much damage.
Yeah, I feel like magic damage in the bot lane's kind of, I don't want to say oppressive, but God, it just feels so bad to play against right now.
Yeah, I do wonder if the Spell Thief buff was unnecessary potentially.
Yeah, because I'm just...
Yeah,
I was talking with my fiance, and she was asking me what should I play. I told her, if you can't dodge skill shots, get the fuck out of bottom lane. Because if you get hit with anything in bottom right now, you're gonna die, and it's gonna feel awful. Because, yeah, like you said, you can one combo people on cat level 2. Like, you have 2 people bottom. They're gonna one combo you in half a second. Like, if you get hit with anything, you're just dead instantly bottom now. So,
yeah, we figured we'd get some of this sort of stuff going on. I mean, this is one of the reasons we do these during a preseason.
Yeah.
Turn ranked off, make a big change. Takes a little while to stabilize it all.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, me and Cutie have talked so much about our impressions. What about you guys? I'm sure you guys have been sitting on this for like, months now, and then it just launched. Like, what's surprising to you guys? Like, what's really cool to you guys?
Yeah, overall, really happy with it. And particularly seeing people play around with different stuff, find out what stuff's for them. A bit surprised that I think RiotWrekz and Sona are probably the 2 strongest champs right now, at least statistically.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, some of that's probably, we buffed RiotWrekz in the patch, so of course he's going to go up. But kind of pleasantly surprised that nobody is completely bonkers, no RiotWrekz level, something just completely nutty like he was with challenging Smite that year, for example.
what about Sona? What are people going on? Are they taking Klepto, or are they going, like, actual damage?
We're seeing her do well with Klepto and Aerie and I think a couple of the others, so...
Yeah.
So that's probably just... This is really favorable to Sona right now, as much her as the runes.
She's doing well with Guardian as well.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I could definitely see that, because she does a lot of damage. Like, that's another champion where I play against it. I feel kind of bad getting hit with her, so I definitely see that. Is there anything that you feel is, like, undertuned at the moment that's not living up to your expectation?
I think I'm trying to talk to the team about keeping an eye on Resolve. I think it doesn't feel as good to pick up like splash runes in Resolve as I think it should. And that could be a combination of tuning. It could just be that the way that people are playing preseason right now. There's not a lot of emphasis on defense, right? You get into a lot of teams that don't even have anything that looks like a tank. But I think like Resolve should be a place where you can go and be like, okay, I'm in a tough matchup, or I'm against this type of damage that I'm concerned about. Cool, let me go to Resolve. Let me pick up some defensive things. I'm going to make my way through lane a bit better. That's really where we want it to land. I'm a bit worried that we're not seeing it get picked up as much. But I think we need to figure out, like, does that mean the runes are underpowered, or is that just related to how people are playing right now?
Unsealed Spellbook is the other one that comes to mind for me. We're seeing a lot of people take that and struggle quite a bit. At the same time, we're also seeing people take that and do some really weird experimental stuff that just does not work. And some people doing pretty well with it, so hard to say whether it's just a learning curve. Or
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think I've seen the Unsealed Spellbook in like a single game. Have you, Scar?
I've seen one Lissandra mid do it. I didn't think she changed her sucker the entire game. And then,
yeah, we'll see on that one. We like the broad concept of it, but the details may be wrong.
I'm really liking seeing the discussion and all the players, posting like, hey, I found this build, or I tried this thing, or I think this is really strong, and they're disagreeing with each other about what's good, which is like that's the thing that I was really hoping to see, is players making builds and then actually arguing with each other about what builds are good, what builds aren't, why they're good in different situations, because that's really like the, hey, cool, people are making choices, people are engaging with things, people are trying to change their builds around based on the situation and their team and the enemy team. And then there's also just sort of wacky stuff that I'm waiting to see how it pans out, like Predator. I think we've seen versions of it. We've had that Keystone for probably over a year now. And we've seen versions that are outrageously overpowered, and we've seen versions that absolutely suck. And we think that this version should be balanced, but I'm still looking to see like who emerges as the jungler that either just confirms kills with it every time, or sort of alternates ganks with that and their ult, and they get really powerful. So yeah.
in terms of other weak stuff, we're also seeing a few champions struggle, and we'll probably buff a few of them either in the next patch or a hotfix. Champs like Nunu and Ivan, who don't have really strong natural fits with some of the keystones. Though in Ivan's case, it's also debatable whether or not people just aren't taking what they should be taking, of course.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, yeah, I was going to say, that Predator keystone that you're talking about, I actually love that one. I don't know, Sky, have you tried it out?
I've actually not tried it out. I've been meaning to get to it, but it's like, I just been trying out so many other things.
I played against Huhi, and he went Predator, Aurelion, Soul, middle, and he would just run people down on the run. It was, like, disgusting. Like, on the rope, if you didn't have a summoner, your ass was dead. It didn't matter where you were on the tower. Like, that shit was pretty cool. Like, I thought it'd only be taken in the jungle. And honestly, I don't really like it as a jungle thing, but I've seen Annie bot 2 take it on Annie for roam. Like, when I see people taking it for roaming champions, that thing's a pain in the ass to deal with.
Predator's so scary on Annie.
Yeah, that shit makes you go real fast. I don't like that thing at all, dude. Like, if you don't have a summoner up, you're basically dead, Tim. But what were you going to say, Sky?
No. I just think there's like, the thing is, it's like, I could say that I haven't been able to try XYZ, and I've been playing the game like a decent amount since it came out, like more than 10 hours or so. And like, I just haven't been able to get like to half of what I wanted to try out yet.
I mean,
so it's a lot to work with.
Off of what they were saying, Resolve's the green tree, right?
Yeah.
Have you tried anything in Resolve? I haven't gotten a single Resolve once.
No, but like I've seen, like literally, I've just seen an entirely huge amount of Leona in my games where I'm panning bot lane and the enemy team is dead, and like by 5 minutes every game.
Oh yeah,
like, is Leona OP? Like that's I just see Aftershock being like absurd sometimes, and I don't know. I can't tell if it's like Leona's now like super OP with the new keystones or not. But it's really interesting because. Yeah, I just haven't been able to get around to it.
Yeah, like, I will say that these runes and masteries, I love this shit, because, yeah, like you said with the Leona, you saw an aftershock. I saw Press the Attack Leona, which is like the fervor Leona. That shit was fucking, yeah, she would just, like, when she went on something, that thing died instantly. It was, like, actually ridiculous. I kind of like that shit a whole lot, too. Like, I think that there's a lot of options. Like, I'm a firm believer, like I said before, I think Press the Attack's the best keystone for ADC, and if anyone disagrees with me, they're just completely wrong, but I will say for talking about weak ones, have you seen that, what's the attack slow one called?
Glacial Augment.
Yeah, have you seen that, Scar, at all?
No, I want to use it. I think it's actually surprisingly good.
Like, I've been thinking about taking it on something like Caitlyn or something with like... Yeah.
It must be so good with Caitlyn. Like, Caitlyn Leona with that stuff, what are they going to do? Probably just that.
Yeah, I was thinking of taking it too with Callista and then borking them. It works off of Bork, I'm pretty sure. So I could just like drop a laser on him. Yeah. I was thinking of doing a whole lot of shit, but then I'm probably just going to feed my ass off with it so I don't do any of it. But
it works on Gunblade as well, so like I love running Glacial Augment on Teemo and top, and then picking up a Gunblade early because like I have so much power to chase people.
Yeah, you just go AP bold and skip the mallet.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that thing's like a 50% slow. Also, the ray that it leaves, I think, so it's pretty much you can't get. I played against a Morgana that got Frost Queen's claim. And then she just, used that bullshit, and then if you got hit with it, you get slowed for the line, and then it's like, okay, well, you're gonna hit me with your Q. Good job, dude. So,
Glacial Augment's crazy fun on Kog'Maw, too.
On Kog'Maw? Wait, what do you go for him?
What do you mean?
As a blade again, or?
Oh, yeah. But mostly it's just that, you pick it up and then you, as soon as you trade with somebody the first time you hit W, you get like 4 or 5 attacks before they end up leaving your range because of the slow.
Oh, yeah, I probably should try it with them. Yeah, there's a lot of things that, like I said, I think that this patch, I'm pretty fucking happy with it because there's so much shit to try that's like, everything potentially could be good. And everything could potentially be terrible also, so you never really know, so it's kind of fun for me.
For me, it's like, it's not going to be solved within a week. In fact, I'd be happy if it was solved within a month. Like, it's such a big change. Just today, I'm looking at, I follow European player tabs, like professional player, he just showed me that like you can stack cleavers again with the Transcendence Mastery to give you AD efficiently. So if you stack 4 cleavers, Trinity Force, and CDR boots, you get plus 95 ADs. You get 420 AD on Zed at level 16 with 45% CDR and 4,000 health.
Wait, 4,000 health?
Yeah, 4,000 health.
Holy
and it works on Graves, Riven, pretty much anyone who can stack that. So, like, I saw that and I was like, holy shit, this guy's actually so smart. And I'm gonna, like, I want to go into a game right after this talk show and, like, just play that.
But that actually sounds pretty fucking good. I was looking at that mastery. I was like, damn, this mastery must be so good, but I don't want to do some, like, I wanted to try it on Ezreal, but then I just never got around to it because I've just been playing Klepto and I just go what do you think of Scorch Scara? Have you tried that one out?
Good.
Yeah.
It's actually
that thing
good.
does 30 damage at level 1. That thing with Ezreal, I feel like Ezreal's laning. I mean, I've talked about him already and I said he's too good, but that Scorch shit I feel like it does way too much.
The worst thing right now is I can't tell because Gathering Storm is so bad, right? The average game time is like 22 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, because everyone's trying out random stuff. You're getting, I think on average, it used to be in the last patch, I'd be lucky to get the same amount of kills as the game time. A couple games ago, I played an 86 kill game in 30 minutes. So it's just like, that's what I'm getting in the preseason right now. I think Gathering Storm right now is terrible because everyone's trying out random stuff, but it gets better as people find out like optimal things. And I also think the level 1 Scorch is probably over too. But it's better than like Comet early, which is crazy.
Wait, does it do more damage than Comet early?
Comet does 30 at level 1, but it's a 20-second cooldown. With Scorch is a 20-second cooldown, does 30 as well. But like I would say Scorch is easier to hit as well. With Comet, with Comet being like much better, like it scales super well into the mid-late game, right?
Yeah, Scorch feels like a pain in the ass to play against also. But I just run it on like Ezreal and I don't have to deal with it because I never have to go near anyone. I'll say Phase Rush. Like I know a lot of people didn't like. What do you think of Phase Rush compared to what's the name? Storm Raiders.
Storm Raiders.
Yeah. What do you think of it, Scott?
Sorry, Scott.
Me or okay? I'll go first, and you guys can follow up because you guys are the smart guys here. I hate it because it's like dramatically just a worse Storm Raiders than before, in my opinion. Where it was, and also it only works. The slow resistance only works on melees, so a lot of the range which by the way I think is correct. I don't think it should be like the de facto keystone for Ezreal jungle, or like a lot of mid lane mages should be picking up Phase Rush. But I just think that it's starting at 15% at early levels and going to 40% is not that good. It's something where I think it's got hard nerfed on the transition and not many people pick it up because they're giving up so much for it.
Yeah, we started off when we first put Phase Rush in with really similar tuning to Storm Raiders because we figured that was a good reference. And became pretty convinced eventually that we needed to take a bunch of power out of that. Mm-hmm. So far, we've seen some people using it really effectively still. We'll see where it lands. The thing I'm most confident in certainly is that need for a distinction between melee and ranged users because that's something we've struggled with, keeping a bunch of the melee folks and good starts.
Something that's really cool about the transition is I think the reliability as the person using the keystone got just way higher. Because you can know, hey, if I do this combo, it's going to proc it. And it doesn't matter who I'm hitting. It doesn't matter what their defenses are. It doesn't matter if I'm ahead or behind. And then now it procs at different times, right? It's like, okay, cool. I know the auto is going to activate this, so I can play around that pattern. And that's sort of why people getting used to playing around that pattern is why we ended up needing to bring down the movement speed over time. We'll totally keep looking at that number though, because if we find that it's just way worse than Storm Raiders, we'll definitely buff it. But
I mean, hell, we're gonna have to look at every number.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy about the distinction that you guys had mentioned about being melee and range because when I'd play against Rise and he'd proc Storm Raiders, that shit that actually just didn't feel like. It was just watching him just dance around me, and I couldn't do anything about it. It just felt fucking stupid. So I'm pretty happy now that thing's only melee. Have you played against Phase Rush Tom Kench, Scara?
Yo, it was great as Storm Raiders. It's so funny.
Yeah, now that it has the
Yeah.
slow resistance on melee, you can just eat people and literally just run away with them. It feels so fucking stupid to play against that thing. Like, he'll just drag you under the tower now. I love that thing. But I think...
Did we not make that self-slow? Okay, maybe we should look at that.
Whoa. I'm just saying, Kench players are having the time of their lives right now.
Yeah, that's
that I
just
can
real
believe.
fun.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, I've been dragged into like the middle of the team by Kench before. I'm just like, all right, but I just think that's funny. Like if he hits me 3 times and I'm playing like Ezreal, that's my fault, right?
Yeah.
Might be different if it's like the top laner and then you're like getting ganked and he just drags you into his tower. That might be a little bit unfair. But like for bot lane, like yeah, I mean,
Don't get me wrong. I think it's really sweet he can use it and do some pretty powerful stuff. But if it's literally drag you under your tower, under his tower, nothing you can do about it.
I don't think he's going that fast. I don't remember how it worked, but I played against the Tom Kench and he did that shit to me, and I was like, "Fuck this guy, dude." That shit just fuck that guy. But you got any other impressions of this preseason, Scara?
No. Like the thing is like I just want to keep playing. Like, that's the biggest like impression for me is that like if I want to keep playing, they did a good job, and so yeah, I think you guys did a great job with the preseason. Of course.
Thank you.
There's some stuff where I'm just like, why is this the thing that does this much, right?
Yep.
But that's all like numbers changes, and I thought the last season was fairly conservative. I think it was the assassin change, but like it generally didn't shake things up enough that I thought that like, oh, it's like a completely new game.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like now it's like comets are coming down, like I'm getting hit with like Airy over here, like just random stuff is happening. I can barely see aftershock. Like I'm getting like destroyed by like glacial augment or kleptomancy, stuff like that. And it seems like a completely different game. It's just really fun to play. It's like why League is fun to play is because it's changed so much over the years.
Yeah.
I'm really glad it's working for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say, yeah, I was playing it. Every time I've played this, I've streamed it. I look at the time. It's like, wow, it's 4 p.m. already. What the fuck? Like, what happened to my day? Like, I don't even realize I'm playing this many games of late because that shit's just. I just try to spam Klepto Ezreal every fucking game until it gets eventually nerfed, and that shit's honestly the most fucking fun I've had for a while. Like, that reminds me of like the Elder Lizard days of Ezreal. That shit was fun as fuck to play. So.
Okay, I know what I'm playing tonight.
Yeah, I'm really enjoying that right now. This preseason, Sky, what would you give? Would you give it a thumbs up?
Dude, if we're giving it like a numerical rating, it'd easily be a 9 out of 10 for me. Like the only thing that like prevents it from being higher is like they could have. It's something that like I can't even think of. I know it could be better. Like let's say you got the balance perfectly on launch, that would be insane. But like that's asking for so much. It's amazing. It's probably the best preseason I can remember playing it.
Yeah, I can definitely agree with that. Like, I mean, maybe it's just because it shakes things up so much that I enjoy it so much, but this preseason's fun as fuck. There's so many different things to try and so much stupid shit to do. It just feels like a new game, but it's still League of Legends, so I'm enjoying it a whole lot. I will say though, the one thing, like you were saying about like all that shit flying around, I feel like there is like, I don't know how I describe a lot of noise in terms of just stuff going on with the stupid, like watching both of the fairies just like go out and then come back and then all this garbage flying around is just, maybe I'm not used to it. I don't know how you feel about that, Scara. Like watching the meteors come down and like fairies coming out.
I think it's not that bad, honestly. It's just something I need to get used to. Like, it does seem a little bit more graphically like overwhelming than the old one because like Thunderlords is a pretty tame like animation, right? Whereas like Airy and Comet are like actual spells. And on top of that, like Zoe's coming out soon, and like she just throws stuff on the screen as well. So it's like we're gonna be getting to the point where like maybe you're just gonna have more stuff on the screen. I think Riot's done a good job at having visual clarity. Like they made it so like you can there's like small indicators to see who ignites you. Like that kind of stuff is what Riot's been working on for years, and it's coming out great right now. When more stuff is getting thrown on the screen, but you can still identify things pretty easily.
Okay,
that's really cool to hear. Yeah, this was a project that Well, it's really awesome to see people enjoying it because this project was such a massive team effort, right? This wasn't like, hey, here's a couple people that are working on features for preseason, or here's a team that's working on features for preseason. This was every team was putting stuff in. We were pulling artists from other parts of the company. From other parts of the company who were coming over, who were helping out, who were getting on board and saying like, okay, cool. So should we make it look like masteries? And we were like, no, think closer to champion abilities, right? And that's sort of where we got to. Everything has a way higher level of art quality. Everything we were trying to bring it to life more, right? So instead of Comet being just sort of an exploding visual effect on you, right? It's the actual spell that you were talking about. And then we had to work and iterate a ton. Aerie in its early iterations, Aerie used to just follow you around all the time. And that's when we actually had to go away, spawn to fire at people, and then drift back to you, so that it was just on the screen less, because we needed to buy back some of that visual clarity.
Yeah, I want to know what would you guys say for this preseason though? How would you guys rate? I know that this is probably your baby, so
that's hard. I mean, it's my favorite, but it's also one we've been working on forever, so it's. Yeah, I'd hope it came out really well.
I just want to say, though, for whoever made the Klepto thing, you said that was like the last one. Give that man a raise, because that shit's 10 out of 10. I fucking love Klepto. I could go on about that shit for days. So.
A few people did great work there. I'll pass on your thanks.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the next topic. We'll talk about Riot's newest champion, Zoe. Looks to be one with a really high skill cap. What are your thoughts on her kit? So, Scott, have you tried her out on PBE yet?
I've not tried her out, but I've talked to a bunch of people who have.
Okay.
And I've seen like pretty much all the videos available.
Yeah, I've tried her on PBE. She's pretty fucking ridiculous. Like, I'll be honest, at first I was like, this champion's probably going to be whatever, dude. Like, I mean, her Q's, who gives a shit about it? Like, you can just dodge that thing. But, like, playing her on PBE, the amount of shit that you can do on this champion it just feels... It feels fun as fuck, but I can't imagine how it feels on the opposite end playing against it, because this champion is just fucking all over the place, and it feels great. I love the champion. I love everything about it, but I'll say that I feel like her taking summoner thing, the fact that the creeps will give it to you feels a little unfair. I don't know how it'll actually pan out, because PB, like, people always talk about PB, like, they should use it for balance chain. No, they shouldn't. People on there are fucking awful. Like, you don't fucking learn anything. Like, I don't go into the I don't know how else to phrase it. I don't go into the PBE games and I'm like, wow, this really showed me how broken the champion is. It's like, I'm gonna learn the, like, basics of this champion, and then that's it, because I'm not gonna learn anything else.
Not good.
Yeah, the match.
Well, I'm sure Zoe is PBE too, because there's one on each team.
Yeah. I mean, Scar, from what you've seen, what do you think of her?
I think she's great. I think it's been a while since Riot's released like a really, really high skill cap mage. I mean, you look at stuff like Yasuo, Riven, Italy, even Ezreal, and you're just like, wow, these champions are like really intense mechanically, like they've got a lot going for them. And then like the recent releases, like, what do you think of? You're like, okay, well, they came out with Ornn. All right, I put my face on the keyboard for that champ. And like they come out with like, you know, Rakan, Xayah. It's like they're cool. They're really cool designs, but they're not like mechanically intense. Like, but you have Zoe, and you're just like, this champ does like nuts stuff. For me, she's just literally like a mage version of Yasuo with all the good things and bad things that it entails. Like, she could be super oppressive if she's better than the other player, and she can feed her ass off, which is exactly what I expect the first month going into her release. Like. And I think that a lot of what makes it better than other champions is that all her mobility is like fake. Like, so I was talking to Riot Cobra yesterday, actually. I went out to eat with him, and like the biggest thing he told me was that like her mobility is just fake. That's it. It looks crazy because her ulti has like a 10 to 6 second cooldown, but you pop forward and you have to pop back, right? So it's like, it's not like Yasuo who has wind wall and can be mobile like just all around you. She's like deceptively like mobile, and you can really take advantage of that. So I think that she has probably more weaknesses, but more like crazy things due to like the random items and summoners that she can pick up.
Yeah, certainly we see her use the ult to dodge a lot of stuff and to reposition for a good shot. but she's not going to chase you across the map or escape really well with it.
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of people, like, I was looking at Reddit, great place for discussion, by the way. I was taking a look at it, and I was, like, reading about, like, Zoe's gonna there's no running away from Zoe. Have you seen the videos of her? Stupidest champion Riot's ever come up with. Yeah, when I played her on PvE, you're not fucking running people down on her. Like, maybe you ulti and get, like, the sleep on them, and then you can run at them and maybe catch up to them, but it's not like you're gonna fucking Predator go through the jungle and fucking find them and kill them or anything like that. So what you said about fake mobility is definitely right on that front. I really am happy with Zoe though, because I feel like mid lane's kind of needed I don't know how to phrase a high skill cap mage, because the high skill cap mages that get played there at the moment are like Ryze.
It used to be just LeBlanc. And, like, LeBlanc's skill is, like...
Hey, what about Ryze, dude? Come on.
Oh, no. Ryze is actually super good. Like, I think Ryze, Cassio, and Azir. But, like, the way that those champions do rotations is, like... Aside from Ryze, is, like, they do, like, one rotation, and then that's kind of it. Whereas, like, I think that, like... Rather than having to work so much about dodging stuff and, like, repositioning and then, like, using really fancy angles... Like, they're a champion that a lot of the champions mid lane have such a big range advantage that it's so deadly to, like, approach them in their range, and they just do one rotation on you and you're chunked. Azir does one rotation, you're chunked. Syndra does one rotation, you're probably dead. Same with LeBlanc. And so it's like they're really oppressive, but they're not, like, super, like, demanding outside of just, like, being able to just be a good player, right? The really crazy Cassio scripting stuff, or like the Karthus skill shot accuracy, that's just being a good player. Not necessarily that the kits themselves have like fantastic kits for being able to be like a great, or to show off like crazy highlight reels.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy now because I feel like every role has like that kind of, like, bot lane has Vayne, mid lane will have Zoe, and then top lane will have like Riven or Yasuo, whatever stupid shit someone wants to int with on my team or some garbage. So I'm pretty happy with that. I think Zoe, I think she'll be a good addition to the League of Legends. I don't know how she'll do with all the garbage that she's gonna have to be playing against. Like, do you think, Scar, she'll have a good place in the meta, or you think we have to wait and see for that?
Oh, I mean, she's built to be at least decent in the meta, because she has like a splash wave clear on her Q, so she's always going to be okay. And she becomes relevant fairly early, so I think she has a higher chance of being relevant than like champions like, you know, Ziggs, Xerath, champions that really need time to be able to come up. So yeah, I think she'll be good. I just worry because it's like people are just going to feed a lot with her because she's really, really hard to play. And that's going to be me, actually. So I guess people should be worried about being on my team when I pick her rather than
Hey, I'll be worried, dude. I can't wait to have you on my team. The number one master player in North America.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to the next one. We'll talk about Kalista was 100% banned at Worlds this year and generally seems to be a really hard champion to balance. Is there a solution to her pressive problems? So I have some stuff to say about Kalista, but I'll let you guys start off with it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing with Kalista, and this is something we saw with Azir as well, and he came out around the same time, is I think especially at the pro level, she just does too much stuff well. She's got some lanes where she's really strong, brings some CC, some vision, great objective control, and I think if we want to long term get her out of that, not played at all or pick ban state, we're going to have to take one or two of those strengths off her and really amplify some of the other stuff.
Yeah, like the way I feel about Kalista is that champion, if you play against it in solo queue and the person knows how to play Kalista, you pretty much auto fucking lost. Like, that champion's gonna win almost every 2v2 matchup she's in, because with Rend reset, there's no escaping that champ. Like, she is a champion who will hunt you down. Like, you will not get away from Kalista if it's being played by a champion by a player that actually knows how to play her. So she definitely feels very impressive in that front. Yeah, she has like amazing objective control, and then her ulti, is just too fucking good. Like, it just turns into, like, it's like a 2-second knock-up at max level, right, or something? It starts off at 1.5, I think.
Yeah, I think so, too, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, like, the champion, it's, you won't 2v2 her, and 2v3ing her is pretty fucking hard to do, because she'll just pop you if you fuck up, like, even slightly, so that champion's just a fucking mess. And on top of that, she has, like, the jump mechanic where good luck hitting her with a skill shot. I think that Callista was a mistake, but I love playing that champion. Like, I love playing her, but I have no idea how it would go about balancing her without her being useless. Because I remember, like, when the season first started, like, no one played Callista because she was basically just awful. I forget what happened to, do you know what happened to her, Scar, that she started getting played in the meta again?
I don't even think she got buffs.
I mean, I think nerfing Caitlyn actually was some of it.
Oh, yeah.
Caitlyn was keeping her down.
Oh, yeah, because that champion is just, she's either you pick ban her or she's just terrible. I've never been like, you know what, Callista's okay here. Let me just pick Callista. It's like, I'm going to pick Callista and just shit on this person bot lane and just take over the game, or I'm going to pick Callista and Insa. I mean, Scar, from mid lane's perspective, what do you think of Callista playing against her?
It's just kind of weird, because if she goes out of lane, she's unkillable. But the problem about that is, like, she's so dependent on doing that well that if she does get out of lane with only like a 1-0 lead, she's kind of, to me, like a Draven, where it's like, if Draven didn't get a big enough lead, all right, you just win the game. Because outside of lane, she's not that great. So, like, yeah, she has to secure a lead, but she has the tools to do that, right? So it's just really strange for me for seeing this, because it's like, there's a lot of situations where it's like, okay, if you can catch her here on the rotation or here, and she messes up, then yeah, you can like claw the game back, and she can't get it back easily. But if you fail, you're not gonna enjoy yourself. That's a 20-minute game for you.
I mean, I don't know about that, because I feel like even if she does fall slightly behind, she has, like, the tools in her kit to allow her to catch up. Like, yeah, she can just try to secure an objective. Like, let's just force a dragon. I'll just ulti my fucking support and do some stupid shit. That's
true. She's not awful at it, but like, she definitely, I think she takes, like, more skill to play than certain other ADs. And, like, I watch, like, a Tristana play. I'm just like, okay, dude, at 4.5 items or 4 items or 3 items, this champ's gonna be stupid. If she gets there early, she's stupid. But, like, and same with Twitch. But if it's like Callista, okay, well, she has to play super well, position really well, and she's got caught dead. Whereas some of the other ones are just much safer.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I will say it's pretty weird, because I don't know how it is with you, Scott, but when I play solo queue, if I see a Callista on the team, or on the enemy team, the first thing that comes to mind is, like, this is an LCS Smurf. Like, I don't think I ever see people, like, pick, like, no one ever picks that champ. Like, for how good she is, it's just, like, I never see that fucking champion pick.
That's true. Realistically, only people in, like, who's playing Challenger or, like, LCS are playing it. Like, the last person I remember playing it was just Fabi just was spamming it on my team, and against me. So that's it. Everyone else, aside from, I think that's it.
Yeah, I never see that champion for how fucking good she is. I mean, I don't know how it is from, like, Riot's perspective. Like, does Callista see a lot of play, or?
No, she's pretty low play rate by ADC standards.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know what it is, because I was talking to, I forget who it was. I think it was Dom. Dom was, like, telling me how he never fucking sees anyone play this champ. Like, it's the worst thing to play against as a jungler. It just feels fucking awful. And then the only one who picks it usually is just me, so it's just like, okay, well, that's cool. I mean, I'll take Callista every time, but I don't see why more people wouldn't play her. I mean, for talking about Callista, though, is there any nerf specifically that you guys have in mind for her? Anything?
No, we'll need to do some work on her next year, but I don't know exactly what that'll look like yet.
Okay.
A couple of other champs we'll need to do small updates on first as well.
Okay, that's an interesting question. So, or I have an interesting question follow up for that. As like the designers and, like, you know, people who, like, want to balance their game correctly, would you prefer to leave a champion, like, fairly oppressive but untouched and wait to balance him or her later, or would you like to leave them like relatively weak and then wait to like redesign or balance them later?
A lot of it depends on what sort of impact they're having on the game. If somebody like, and we saw, let's say Malzahar a few seasons back, there were times when he actually got played pretty oppressive in most skill ranges, but it didn't matter. Nobody was playing him. So in those circumstances, we often feel we can leave a champ pretty strong until we can get around to them and do some work on them. By contrast, if it's a champ who's in every second game or something, we got to get to that quicker, whether that's do an update or at least take some power out of them.
And I think that especially depends on when a champion's unpopular and they're strong, you have to take into account that the people that are playing that champion tend to be mains of that champion. So it's like you're looking at a group that on average is just better than a super popular champion.
Yeah, you're comparing 50 game played players to 3 game played players or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Because, I've talked to my chat about that when they're always telling me, like, Cutie, you gotta play fucking... They're telling me some stupid shit, like, Quinn has the highest win rate. It's like, dude, no one plays Quinn. There's probably, like, one guy out there playing Quinn right now, and he's played, like, 1,000 games of Quinn. Like, I'd hope he have a high win rate for that.
Yeah, I mean, statistics aren't the same as power. They might tell you something about it, but...
Yeah, like...
I think a great example of that, and even in the high elo North American solo queue, it's like there's one Pantheon player and like 2 Soul players in like high master challenger. Keegan has 4 challenger accounts, right? Mm-hmm. And then the second best Pantheon player isn't even close. And like he's just he's good at the game. He's not just good at Pantheon, because it's like people are telling me like, yeah, Pantheon is super OP or Soul is super OP. That champ sucks unless you have 50 games on them. Like actually, like
more than 50.
Yeah, like that champ requires you to have such good mastery of him because he's so unique.
Yeah, that shit plays like nothing else. Well, I will ask, so what do you think of, so a champion like Kalista, she doesn't get played very much, but she's like 100% banned at Worlds. Is that something that, is that okay to have in there? Because
I think that's a problem, because for starters, you're getting a worse both pro player and viewer experience off that. We could be seeing more variety in games if that wasn't the case. And I'd like to see her in a few games, not all of them. But,
yeah, I mean, I like seeing Kalista. I think she's cool as fuck to watch. I think that she's oppressive as hell. But yeah, hopefully something happens with her. She's not banned every single game.
Yeah, we're gonna give that a shot.
Yeah, I was bummed that there wasn't a game where somebody was able to really, put out the highlight reel and be like, this is why you don't let Kalista through. And instead,
or the opposite. Somebody having to leave her open and go, okay, here's how you crush her, if you know.
Yeah, that would have been
Don't
pretty
think balance
bad.
was right for that, but still sad we didn't.
Okay, though, let's go to the next one. So, what's in store for Riot Games in the future now that you've tackled a rune page rework?
Yeah, I mean, runes follow-up is going to be the big one for a while. Getting it balanced, and then probably adding a few more runes to some of the slots.
Oh, a few more. You guys looking to add like more keystones or more like secondary stuff?
Probably some of each.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Is there anything off the top of your head that you could let us know about?
Let's see. Do we have anything that was close enough?
Not right
yet.
now.
Okay.
I think most of what we're for is let's ship the package that we have, right? The 60 that make up Runes Reforged as is. And then if there's categories of champions that are like, hey, look, all the people that have this common trait are just not well supported by runes, we'd look to make a keystone that sort of binds a bit better to them, that kind of thing. So
if, for example, dot mages were really struggling after DFT got removed,
right,
maybe we consider something for them.
Yeah.
Although a lot of them seem to be doing pretty well so far, so we'll see. But that sort of stuff.
Yeah, mostly because I think the more runes we have, the more focused each rune can be, and then we can give dot mages like here's your option when you want to do high sustain damage, and here's your option when you want to take something that doesn't amplify your dots as much but contributes to like more burst overall, like electrocute, right? Otherwise, there's sort of this pressure to make things more general and more, and then they end up being in a place where more people pick them always instead of picking them situationally. And we really want to keep runes in a place where people are exploring, where people are picking up different things in different situations. So continuing to sort of work with the system and add to it is going to be one of the things that help us do that.
Okay. Is there anything aside from runes that you guys have that
Yeah, we're looking at some stuff. Most of it's too early to talk about. We'll probably go back to looking at starting items again sometime next year, though. In particular, a few new starting items to try and open some of the positions up a bit more.
Oh, that would be pretty good, yeah, because I feel like D-Blade and D-Shield they're pretty good. Actually, for bot lane, I think everything ends up getting, everything does get used. You see D-Rings, D-Blades, D-Shields, but I don't know how it is for other, mid lane, it's just D-Ring and Longsword, right? Do people go, or people go D-Shield?
Yeah, it's literally like Ring and Seal, and then I guess you can go Shield and like Cat or something weird, but for the most part, just those two.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like the starting items, yeah, there could be something that's a little more like, wow, he's starting this. There's Cole, but the people, people that start Cole, they pretty much just end. So it's just like if I see someone start Cole, it's like, okay, they're gonna die instantly now. So,
I have a question. Is there something you could share with us, like a keystone or a rune that didn't make it past like your testing? Because I'm sure you guys, like, what do we have, like?
Oh god.
15 keystones and like 20 plus runes. I'm sure you guys had some that you thought were good and like couldn't make the cut.
And we tested a lot. Many of them were just experimental and bad pretty quickly. What's something we cut that? Okay, got two examples. The first one, a few people love this one. We never thought it was really great, but it was called Reap. And when you got below 10% health, when you damaged somebody with anything and they were below 10% health, they just died instantly. So no matter how much health they had. And people using it often loved it because you got really clear feedback when it had done something. Somebody just exploded suddenly. But it felt like such bullshit to play against in some circumstances. And while it was satisfying, there wasn't much gameplay to it. A different one that I think we might eventually go back to was a inspiration keystone. I can't remember what we called it. Something like Fruit Collector. And it was a little bit like a bard passive where you're going around the map and you're picking up all these sort of fruit that are giving you a stacking, I think it was shield or something.
Yep.
And so it's particularly good for both supports and junglers, maybe roaming mids. And we never got that to a good enough to ship it or be confident in its state, but it seemed really promising. And Klepto actually took the spot it was competing for.
Ooh.
But I'd love to go back and try that one again someday because I think there's something pretty cool in there for people that want that experience.
We tried a bunch of other crazy stuff. Actually, a couple times during the rune system, we tried variations of runes that were like your movement speed is 300 always and forever. It cannot be higher. It cannot be lower. And it was like basically slow immunity.
And haste immunity.
Yeah, and haste immunity. We tried that a couple times. It ended up just not having a ton of gameplay or decision making, left people feeling like they didn't have options. We tried, so for a while, the thing that eventually became Unsealed Spellbook was a keystone called Summoner Roulette. And Summoner Roulette was when you cast a summon, you had reduced summoner cooldowns, and every time you cast a summoner, that summoner was replaced with a different random summoner.
Wait, holy shit, that sounds awesome. That sounds awesome, but also awful.
that was the thing. Playing with that was some of the most fun I've had in a playtest. But sometimes it was just random crap. You felt terrible, or your opponent felt that just pure RNG had beaten them.
It was amazing. That summoner made two camps of people, right? There were people who were like, this is the best thing that's ever been in the game, and there were people who were like, I'll just quit.
Hence Unsealed Spellbook instead.
Yeah. So we had to kind of tone it down and get back to a model that was like tried to capture that flexibility, but without the heavy RNG element.
Yeah, that shit sounds like fun. Wait, so if you took that as a jungler, could you lose Smite or no?
In the first test, yes. After that, we made it so Smite didn't interact with it.
Wow.
That would be a hilarious one to have it. I'm pretty sure that would just be terrible, but it would be fun as fuck to have that.
Maybe we can bring that back in a rotating game mode.
Yeah, that would be in a rotating game mode. It'd be fucking hilarious, like an Earth mode or some bullshit. You just have
something like that could be fun.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you. I want to know about this. Is something that's what do you think of Poacher's Dirk? Because that item, since it's been introduced, I think I've seen it like what I don't even remember when it got introduced.
Like, it was a trap for a long time. It might still be. Actually, do you guys know if we had buffs for it? Do you know if we shipped them in preseason?
I think so.
Shipped the buffs.
Yeah, we did. Okay, cool. Because I was going to say, if we didn't, those are coming soon. I'm not certain if those will necessarily put it in the right spot, but we do want to actually see that as a counter jungling option, not just a mistake.
Yeah, I remember I first saw that item and I was like, "Holy shit! This is gonna change the way that this game is played." And then it's like a 3-minute cooldown, right, between using the stack.
It's a 60-second cooldown in between each camp.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it takes 3 minutes at minimum to transform. Yeah. I mean, I think we were too scared of how game defining it could be if it was strong, especially after Devourer had influenced how the game state was so much from the jungle that we over constrained it. And I'm gonna try and open that up again.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now junglers, like all the junglers I talked to, just wanted to be able to express like their superiority against the other jungler, and so I think all of them are loving it right now, regardless if Dirk is strong or weak. All the good junglers, if I see a jungler mismatch right now, I'm just like, Jesus Christ, dude, because this guy's 3 levels up on the enemy jungler and he smashed it. So, whereas before it was like, Jesus Christ, dude, he's the same level. That's so weird. And so like I think right now, like, especially carry junglers don't have much to complain about. I actually personally don't care if Dirk is in the game. Like, I think that it encourages counter juggling, but that also can be encouraged just by rewarding, like, or just being a good player, right? If the mechanics in the game reward you for denying camps, which right now they do, you don't need Dirk for the game to be interactive. But I always like more item options, so I'm not opposed to stuff like that and stuff like, Cole, which is like, could be a bait 90% of the time.
Yeah, I'm pretty... Oh, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, the thing I do like about Dirk as a way of encouraging counter jungling, or items like Dirk, is that it means we can encourage counter jungling on particular types of characters, not just junglers in general. So, AD lethality scaling ones, we can give them extra incentive or extra reward for it. Or you could make a tank version or whatever.
Yeah,
it's an extra level.
Yeah, I kind of like the idea of it, but I'm kind of sad it never sees any play. I'll ask you for the last question about what's next for Riot. Is there anything that you guys are planning on doing in terms of, like, I guess, the way the game scales? Like, do you want to see more early aggression type things? Do you like the late game play style that was happening last season? Like, what in your mind would be what you would envision the perfect game of League of Legends to be like?
I think the game will always be evolving, so it's a bit hard to talk about a perfect state. I think last year we saw the sort of defensive play into some of the hyper carries be a bit too dominant. At the same time, being pretty happy with most of the action, especially in solo queue. Having said that, some of the early game in pro has been a bit slow. That we'd probably want to look at. Make sure that's not so. The playing safe there is not quite as rewarded.
Are you looking to do something to maybe incentivize like, is there anything in mind right now, or?
We've got about as far as we should look at that once we've got runes and preseason under control.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
No specifics.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, let's go to the final topic then, ladies and gentlemen. It's a juicy topic. It's everyone's favorite. Sky, you know what time it is. Let them know.
It's the Discord Q&A time.
Discord question and answer, baby.
Okay.
You love questions on Reddit? We got even better questions on Discord, dude. So,
I look forward to it.
Yeah, let's get right into it. So let me pre-screen some of these questions real quick. Well, this one will go out to me and Scar. We'll start off with the bassist wants to know, at Cutie and Scar, are you going to be taking a spot in the Tyler 1 Championship tournament? Scar, are we playing in that?
I want to, dude. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It just got announced. I gotta call up my people, but it's definitely looking sick. I love Tyler.
All right. Maybe that's your answer. Benito the Muffin wants to know, how much do workers in Riot think about how each rune will affect every champion? Do you think about it like by this champion's going to use this rune, or on a bigger...
Okay, so there's a ton of levels that we try and look at it, right? We look at what is the style supposed to be doing, right? And now when we look at each slot, what is the decision? What is the decision like at that slot? When you're considering a rune, it's not just can we put this power in the game, it's can we put the power in the game, and what are you giving up in that slot in order to get it, and is that consistent with, if we put a rune in sorcery, is it offering the type of power the champions in sorcery should have, and what are they giving up for that, and that kind of stuff, right? Then we think about all the champions that could conceivably take that and splash it, and what does it do for them? Does it have good gameplay when different champions have it? If we really stretch it to the extremes, does the gameplay start to break down? Does it become unhealthy? That kind of thing. So we try and evaluate it at all those levels, both like systemically and in terms of like the rune specifically and its sort of tight tactical gameplay.
Okay. Icy Treats wants to know, does any designer regret any of the champions they have designed, and what is the craziest idea they've come up with that you know of?
Yes, you'll get designers who regret some of the stuff they've done in the past. We all get learning experiences. I think particularly back when Riot was making champions every 2 weeks, you'd get stuff like, release RiotWrekz, who was unbelievably buggy because they had to change his ultimate 2 weeks before he shipped to something completely different. That sort of thing.
And still buggy.
Yep. No, sure, different bugs. Yeah, good call. What was the second half of that question?
And what's the craziest idea that they've come up with?
Craziest idea? It might not be the craziest, but one that comes to mind was we were trying out a character who was an ink mage. They could draw things in the game at one point. And to cast their spells, they were sort of making all these gestures with their mouse like a paintbrush to draw all these different shapes. And it was really cool to play around with it by yourself with no other people in the game. But it wasn't a really fun experience when you're trying to do that in the middle of a team fight.
Wait, that sounds sick.
That would be fucking awesome. Wait, that
would be so cool.
I kind of hope we go back to that at some point, but got to find both the right way to do it and I think the right context,
Dude, if you guys made a support that like their ultimate was you just you can like fucking draw a box on them, you can like draw the way you want the terrain to form around them, the block, that would be fucking awesome. I would love that shit. That sounds like that's a good fucking idea. Let's go to another one. So Macy wants to know, since a lot of champions got some armor to their base kit, and with ADCs being harassed by a lot of the AP supports in bot lane, will you be thinking of giving champions more MR in general?
Maybe is about the best I can give you there. It's too early on to know what sort of stat changes we'll need to make. I'm sure there'll be a bunch to a lot of champions though.
Okay.
Yep. And then the question that we'd ask then is, if a bunch of champions need MR, should we give more MR to some of the situational runes that you can pick up? Like should we make Nullifying Orb stronger? Should we make Mirror Shell stronger? That sort of thing, instead of giving it to them in their base stats. And that way we encourage a bit more difference between your defensive builds and your offensive builds.
Okay.
Oh, I think that's really smart. Yeah. A lot of the champs right now who can't lane are the ones who struggle the most, and so putting more damage in the game through Scorch and random stuff means that like you're gonna get less champion versatility as opposed to more. And so yeah, being able to like I want to be able to take resolve for like the really hard matches and sack the damage.
Yeah.
So that I can like get through laning phase.
Yeah, that's one of the things that should be there for.
Yeah, and I mean I feel like the resolve tree, like that second wind, I think it is like, it sounds so fucking good. I tried running it and I honestly couldn't even tell it was doing anything. But like when I look at the ability, I'm like, damn, this shit sounds like it's gonna help me so much in lane. So yeah, I think if that happens, that'd be pretty nice. Mazov44 wants to know, how many hours do the Riot workers spend a day analyzing gameplay? Do they play the games while at work to see balance in game as well?
Yeah, particularly for the live gameplay team, they will sometimes play games, during the day, especially around something like preseason. Most people do their gaming either before or after work, though. So time at work's more, implementing changes, analyzing the game rather than playing it, coordinating with other teams, that sort of stuff. And that's sort of a combination of, we do look at a range of statistics, but there's also a lot of looking at what sort of counterplay options are available to people, what's dominating at different skill levels, how something feels to play against even. Is this fun? Is it satisfying? Not just is it powerful?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me see. Tom wants to know, this is a good one right here, because this is something I do. Have you ever favorably buffed your favorite champion because you can? You ever throw just a little something at one of the champions? Because I know sometimes I'll see like a 5 AD buff, like a little bit of armor on someone, and I'm like, I don't know if that's going to help them out. I don't know what exactly this buff's for.
No, we've got a system where to get a buff or a nerf in, you've got to get the buy-in of the whole team. So it's not just go change whatever you want.
Okay.
One thing I have done once myself is get really annoyed with a few bugs on a champion I was playing and gone in and fixed those over the weekend. But that's a bit different.
A few bugs.
Yeah.
Yeah, a couple bugs. Emperor Mango wants to know thoughts on Kleptomancy on Ezreal and Gangplank at Skara.
Kleptomancy, Ezreal. We talked about this.
Yeah, but what do you think about Gangplank?
It's great. It's OP. No, look, forget. You guys know Gangplank. It's good on Gangplank. It's good on Ezreal. It's great on both. Like, the thing you should be thinking about is neither of those. It's Yasuo. So right now, people are taking Presti attack on Yasuo. That's good. It's not bad. But against tank matchups, I think maybe Klepto might be better. It's something that I talked to Hyland Dogger about it last night. He said it was actually better than he expected too. So you want to be thinking next level. Think Yasuo. Yasuo, Kleptomancy, just not into range matchups because you're gonna feed your ass off.
Let me see. So, Grant Capit wants to know, are you guys going to address heroes like Aatrox and Mundo being countered by a 900 gold item?
This is the whole Bramble Vest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think long term we do need to do some work on Grievous Wounds. It could be a bit binary. Having said that, Aatrox and Mundo also just have a lot of kit problems, so we should also just be fixing champs like that, or Swain, or whoever it be that's so on and off depending on how much their healing is or isn't shut down.
Scar, what do you think of Bramble Vest?
Okay. I just talked about this recently on my patch rundown, and something I've been thinking about for a long time. I think that it's a balanced nightmare, just in general, to have a 50% healing reduction on such an easily acquired item. And the way I thought about it is like, it just makes it impossible to balance if like those items are also the items you want to be rushing anyways. So I thought a reasonable way to deal with it was that it had a reduced factor before you full completed the item. So if you're against Soraka and you want to get that healing reduction, fine, that's great. You take Ignite. But if you don't want to do that and you want to itemize for it, the first thing, the Bramble Vest, the Executioner should be 30%. And then you have the full value once you fully complete the item. If you really want to go for that route. That way, it doesn't completely neuter, Mundo, top lane, Aatrox, like Swain, stuff like that, but it's still very effective against them. And so that was kind of what I was thinking in terms of it would make the game kind of easier to balance for the champions, but that's just off the top of my head.
Mr. Nacho wants to know, do you listen to streamers when it comes to balance? I'll say they should not listen to fucking anyone that streams this game when it comes to balance. I'll say for Riot.
Wait, come on.
No. Wait, dude, yeah, Scar, whatever Scar just said, throw that shit in the trash. Like, I'm sure they were just nodding along like, yep, Scar, great point, dude. You're on with that one. Just throw that shit in the trash. Like, I feel... Oh, you can go.
Yeah, I was gonna say we'll get feedback from everyone that plays, but whether or not we act on that feedback is going to be based off how good the argument is, not off whether you stream or what your MMR is or how long you've had an account or whatever.
Yeah, like a lot of people just say like, dude, Riot can't balance the game. They're not like all challenger players. They're not all CS players. Like, being an LCS player and like balancing the game, like trust me, dude. Take it from me, man. I'm stupid as fuck. I don't know how the fuck to balance any of this shit, dude. I can play the game. I can click fucking buttons. But, like, should anyone listen to me when it comes to, like, well, I believe that this should be, this value should be changed to this, and this ability should do this instead? Hell no, dude. I just know how to fucking click the buttons to make shit die. I'm sure Skyrim might be a little bit better than me, but... Yeah.
Dude, I'm a little bit better, but I'm like the same way. Like, I think about the game maybe like a little bit more, but like it's all just suggestions, right? Like, I trust Riot's balancing team. Sure, they make mistakes. Censor, get that shit out of here. But for the most part, I think their balancing has been pretty good. Like, it used to be that I looked at patches and was just like, what were they thinking? What the? And then now I look at patches and I'm just like, overall, outside of the part where I wanted to see Censor nerf like 4 patches ago, overall I was like, well, that's good for the game. That's good for the game. That's good for the game, you know? And I think that like, they've gotten a lot better over the years at just being able to cover balances. And a lot of that's probably like through mistakes, right? Early balancing was like, oh wait, we messed up this really bad. And now it's like, we know not to do this in the future. I think Riot has one of the best balanced teams of any like game ever.
Considering how hard it is for them to sort of, to like work through, okay, here's how this thing is in pro and how it gets used. Now here's how it gets used in high elo, and here's how it gets used in mid elo, and here's how inexperienced players use it, and that kind of thing. And they have to like figure out all of that and come up with a concise change list that tries to like fix the balance problems and make a champion reasonable at every level of skill. I have so much respect for the job they managed to do.
Yeah, I'd say that I think that they managed to balance this game. Like, because the thing is, balancing the game's great, but like ultimately you want the game to be fun and stuff like that. So I enjoy the game. I think it's pretty well balanced. I have no problems with how Riot does. I agree with Scar, the art and censor shit, like, yeah, they could have taken that shit a while ago, but...
That's fair.
Yeah. Other than that, like, I've been really happy with how the game's been. I've never played the game and been like, this is just... Riot, what the fuck are you guys thinking? This is just fucking awful. I can't play this shit anymore. Other than when 80 was fucking awful. Other than that was pretty bad too. But that was a long time ago, and I'll forget that for now. So I'll say, Riot, good shit on everything you do.
Thank you.
We'll go for one final question, and we'll make it a nice and juicy one right here. We'll just go with a nice, simple. Delta Fruit wants to know what champion has been the most difficult one to balance ever.
Let's see. It's got to be Rise.
Yeah.
You think? Is he really that much? Like, I feel like Vladimir seems like a nightmare champion. Like, I mean,
Vlad was tough for a while, but I think we've got Vlad to a state where we can be pretty happy with him.
Okay.
Whereas Rise has perpetually been a challenge to balance for different skill levels and solo queue versus pre-made teams. In all the different versions of him we've seen, and he's still not right. So.
Yeah, and latency is a huge deal for Rise as well,
true.
Right? I mean, like, he ends up being really dominant in LCS where people have 8 ping. He ends up being, you just actually can't do some of the same combos on normal servers, or at least that was true with the older version, and was part of what's inspired the more recent reworks.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Yeah, because when I talked to Poe Belter, he told me he loves playing Rise in Korea, because it's like 0 ping, and then he comes to NA and plays that shit, and he's like, this shit's fucking awful, dude. So I can definitely see Rise. I said that was the final question, but I want one more question right here.
Actually, can I ask you guys, who do you think have been the biggest balance challenges over the years?
Oh, God.
Well, I'd say for me, from an 80s perspective, I'd say Vayne's just an awful mess, because that champion's just... She's either god-awful or she gets played a lot. And most of the time she's just, like, I feel like she's just been forgotten, kind of. I mean, you guys did the change where her ulti now, if you kill a champion, it gives you, like, 3 seconds or something on it. But I feel like that didn't really help her at all. Like, her early game is just so god-awful that unless you, like, build a comp specifically around her, which you never see, like... I can maybe see her play it in competitive, but in solo queue, I'll never see it. Like, I beg the enemy team, please pick Vayne against me, because I will fucking destroy that thing. Like, if you pick Vayne against me, I'll make it a 15-minute surrender. So, I'd say Vayne.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Makes sense. What about you, Scar?
Toss-up. I think you could choose, if I'm not allowed to say Vlad or Rise, which they've already been said, right? I would say LeBlanc.
Yeah, I can see that.
LeBlanc, Lulu, and Azir have all been like super problematic. Lulu is not really like people don't even remember when Lulu was a mid lane. I did. That was a nightmare situation, and even on like a support position, it's hard to balance that champion. Super bad. Azir has the situation where like you have to be good with the champion actually, and then like even when she has like a 42% win rate, similar to old LeBlanc, Azir is still like a nightmare problem. And like LeBlanc. Oh, that champ just is also impossible to balance too, because she's like a ranged AP assassin that's highly mobile. So she gets like all the benefits of like being ranged and like none of the drawbacks. So she also has decent wave clear, and so she's just like a nightmare. Like even after the rework, I'm just like, did they really fix like some of her problems? They fixed some and then introduced new ones. So
agreed.
She's like really problematic.
All right, we'll end it though. We'll end it with the one final question. I want to know from Riot themselves, in your opinion, who do you feel is the superior ADC? Would you go with me or a player like Doublelift? I want to hear from you guys.
Well, I mean, you're number one challenger player, right? So
I was number one. I'm still the number one ADC in North America.
Number one in our hearts.
Okay, so you vote. Wait.
I mean, I feel like the ladder doesn't lie.
Ladder doesn't lie. That's what I've been telling people. Like, that ladder was handcrafted by Riot Games. They put $1 billion into making sure mathematically that ladder only speaks the truth. Yeah, it's an expensive ladder, dude. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. And that'll conclude Beyond the Victorious me, the number one player. You heard it here first. Number one ADC, but let's just say number one player. So I want to thank you guys for joining us. Thank you to Riot.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you very much. This was real fun.
Yeah, it was nice just being able to finally talk about the runes Reforged, because when I stream, I don't really get to talk about. I don't know how you are, Scar. Do you ever really talk about? I mean,
I talk about a little bit, but it's like it's always nice to be able to talk to people who actually work on it, you know? Because then you're just like, well, what about this? What about that? You know, and you can get that immediate kind of feedback.
Yeah, it's been pretty enjoyable. But if you guys enjoyed it, you know, Scar, tell them where they can get more of you.
You can find me at twitch.tv/Scar and Twitter. Those are my two main platforms. I'll be streaming probably within the next hour. So yeah, you can find me there. And
you guys know where to find me. Beyond the Rift every Thursday, 5 p.m. EST. You know where to find us, ladies and gentlemen. That's going to conclude it for today. Thank you again for joining us.
Whoa, what about giving them the ability to shout themselves out? Dude?
Okay, you guys want a shout out? Give yourselves the shout out. You want me to? Dude, what do you want from me? What kind of shout out? All right, do the shout out.
Wait, all right. For you two lovely writers who joined us, RiotWrekz, as well as the other one that slipped my mind. So
Meddler.
Meddler? Oh, no. Meddler. Oh, I actually do know who you are. Holy moly. Meddler. Anyways, would you guys like any last comments, anything you want to say to the 20,000 plus people watching?
Hope you guys really love preseason, basically.
Yeah, that's the gist of it.
Thanks for listening, of course.
Yeah, dude, they're telling us about this. This is their life's work, Scar, and you want them to give their shout. My Twitter is my life's work, dude. That's all I got. They got League of Legends. This thing transcends humanity.
Oh my god.
Hey, I appreciate the thought, Scar. That's really appreciated.
What I will say is like to the viewers out there, get out on the forums, get out on Reddit. Leave us feedback, right? We're on Twitter, we're on Reddit. You can post on the boards, leave feedback, play games, have fun with it. Let us know what you think. Share with your friends what you're finding. it's a huge new thing, and this preseason is going to be crazy. And the more you tell us about how you like it, how you're experiencing the game with all these changes, the better we can sort of make it something that makes a bit more sense again and stabilizes together.
All right, and make sure to tell them that Klepto's balanced and don't nerf it. See you later, everyone. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.
See you guys.